What is going on, guys? Inside Warcraft here. Welcome back to another video. Today, my friends, we got a few BGs. I do have some arena footage stacked up that I'm going to be bringing you guys in a future video, and I do have some more BG footage, but today I have two BGs, which I did with my best buddy Mitch. If you hear him in the background, we were talking on Skype, and I accidentally recorded his voice and the game audio as well, so if you hear him in the background, my bad, man, my bad. I didn't really mean to do that, but he's there, and I am not replying to him. You can't hear me reply, so it's a little bit weird, but I'll try to fix that for the next one, because talking on Skype is actually pretty dope when you're playing. It made it super easy and way more enjoyable than what it usually is. But today, I am talking to you guys about my Logitech G600 mouse. Basically doing a first impression / review type deal here. Kind of how it all went down, how transferring from never using a mouse like this to using a mouse like this went. So basically, I hooked up the mouse and I hopped right into the game and I keybound to what I thought would be a pretty good setup. In essence, I keybound basically all of my main abilities to my mouse. I keybound kind of my survivability abilities such as deterrence, disengage, exhilaration to my keyboard, and I also had like my trinket on the keyboard, maybe Master's Call, and then I basically just, keybound everything else to my mouse, and I kept strafe both ways and walking forwards on my keyboard. And so I use strafing and walking forwards as well as my right mouse button to move now. And then I have all my abilities keybound onto my mouse. So how did this all go? How does it feel? How does the mouse perform and all of that? That's probably what you're wondering. For me, it honestly didn't take that long to get used to. The only thing that took long to get used to was not using my keyboard to move anymore. At first, I did have, I was moving with my mouse and keyboard pretty good, but I would still use the keyboard buttons for turning, and it was throwing me off a little bit, and so I ended up just unkeybinding those on the keyboard, so I don't have turning on my keyboard anymore. The only way I can turn is with my mouse, and that made it a lot easier for me to get used to it, because it just forced me to use my mouse to turn, and now I'm very used to it already. It only took me like a couple battlegrounds, a couple arenas to really get it down, and now it feels 20 times better than it did before. Another thing is I used the G-Shift button for my stuns at first. So all of my stuns were keybound to my main mouse buttons. So like the first 4 side panel buttons plus the G-Shift were all of my stuns. And what I found was using the G-Shift button disengaged the right button, the right click. And so when I would use the G-Shift, I would lose control of being able to turn my character, and that was just a big no-no. So I ended up the G-Shift button and all of that because I couldn't do that. I couldn't handle the kind of canceling out effect that the G-Shift button had on my movement, especially when I'm doing a stun. I mean, generally when I'm going to be stunning somebody, I'm going to be running away from the man, and I'm going to need that right click to be able to run properly. Otherwise, I just look like an idiot and look like, I don't even know, I don't want to say anything too rude here, man, but I look pretty dumb walking around in circles, and it's just pretty dumb. I mean, that's all there is to it. So I had to get rid of that G-Shift, and I ended up just using the rest of my side panel buttons for my stuns. So that fixed that. I mean, it took a while to kind of get the keybinds where I like them and where I got used to all of the keybinds on my mouse, because there's a hell of a lot of buttons on that mouse, and even though the buttons are contoured and you can feel the differences in them, it's still pretty tough to get used to all of that. And I couldn't even imagine doing that with a Razer Naga where the buttons all feel the same other than the little bumps on a few of them. I mean, it would have just been a nightmare trying to learn all of that. So in general, though, it was pretty simple to get used to the whole setup. Now, a few awesome things about this mouse. Well, there's a lot of awesome things about this mouse, to be honest. It was super comfortable straight out of the box. It's a bigger mouse, it's a bigger size, but now when I hold the mouse I used to use, I just kind of think to myself, how the hell did I live so long using this little piece of shit? So the G600 feels amazing. Setting it up was very easy. The only thing I really had to do differently was keybind. I had to make all the keys act as the F keys because otherwise it's kind of a long story. But you know, when I would go to keybind my mouse buttons, they would end up keybinding as 1, 2, 3, 4 on my keyboard, and then I wouldn't be able to keybind 1, 2, 3, and 4 to different abilities, so I had to go in and kind of set the buttons on the mouse to be the F keys, and that fixed everything. The lighting is awesome. You can do a ton of different effects, and it just really depends on your preference what you want to do. Right now, I have kind of like a mint green with the white, and it just looks dope, man. I love this mouse. It is opening the door to obviously more skill. I got to get better with my traps. I got to get better with binding shot and stuff like that now, because I do have the ability to use all of those now. Before, I really didn't, but now I do, and in arenas, those are super useful, so I got to get better with those. It also opens the door for melee classes as well, because before, with keyboard turning, I really couldn't play competitive PvP as a melee class, so now I'm definitely going to be exploring that side of the game, and I'm very excited to do that and bring you guys some content. Hopefully some updated rogue content, man, because I know the last rogue video I didn't go over too hot because I was keyboard turning. So this mouse is super simple to set up. It feels great. It's super comfortable. The only thing I was kind of disappointed in is the G shift kind of disabling your right click. But I still use the G shift for some abilities like binding shot, I believe. I could be wrong there, but a few abilities, flare and ice trap, I believe, are what I use with the G shift. So it's not completely useless. I just got to kind of figure it all out. It's weird having 3 buttons, 3 main mouse buttons. It's hard to get used to, and that's just about the only problem I've found with this mouse. The rest of it is phenomenal, and I haven't even got into the DPI settings. I mean, it feels perfect as it is. So thank you guys for watching. Those are my impressions of the G600. Hopefully it reassures you as you go and move into a gaming mouse. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace, guys.